From the 1011 Now Alert Center,
This is the Night Beat.
sponsored by Pella Windows and Doors of Lincoln.
Good evening and thank you for joining me. I'm Jessica Blum with your headlines for Friday, February 20th. First, last night's road conditions caused chaos on roads here in Lincoln, leading to a record-breaking amount of crashes for LPD. Officers responded to 95 crashes on Thursday, not including other snow-related calls they got. But that is the most since December of 2020, when there were 90 in a single day. Dispatchers were also swamped with over 830 calls over a 4-hour window as the winter storm hit the capital city.
The Lincoln Emergency Communications Center answered 834 calls in the 4-hour window between 3 and 7 p.m. yesterday during the height of the snowfall, dispatching calls for LPD, LSO, LFR, rural fire districts. That's approximately 4 times the average number of calls we typically see during that time frame.
LPD thanked its officers and telecommunicators who responded to these calls as quickly and safely as possible. And speaking of crashes, one man was taken into custody last night after a DUI crash involving an LPD cruiser. It happened just after midnight. A sergeant noticed a car driving the wrong way on O Street and tried throwing on their lights to get their attention. That's when they collided with the police officer. Those officers say that the driver, 19-year-old Caden Parham, had slurred speech and poor balance on scene. A partial breathalyzer test turned up a .227. According to court documents, Parham told officers he was on his way home, but spotted directions to Taco Bell on his phone. He was charged with 5 misdemeanors. Outside of Lincoln, the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office also had a busy night during the winter storm.
9 accidents, property, 3 hit-and-run accidents, 4 injury accidents, and had 15 motorist assists. At one point in time, we had more accidents and calls for service than we were able to have deputies out to be able to take them.
According to Lancaster County engineer Pam Dingman, crews started clearing roads outside of Lincoln at 5 a.m. She says operations will end if visibility becomes limited to either low light or blowing snow. Dingman expects the county's 1,000 miles of gravel roads will not be entirely cleared today. Not only were first responders busy last night, Midwest Towing Company truckers worked 14-hour shifts as cars got stranded in snow across Lincoln. The company tells us it received 89 calls for service between 3 p.m. yesterday and 8 a.m. this morning. A majority of the cars they helped recover were stuck on I-80, and there were 11 truckers working through the night to keep roads cleared of abandoned vehicles.
It's been pretty hectic. I mean, as soon as the storm started yesterday, it was probably an hour into the storm, and there was already 10 plus accidents all over Lincoln. Originally, I was supposed to be off by 7:30 yesterday, and I think I ended up running until a little after midnight, just cleaning up the mess.
Bluford says the biggest challenge has been working long hours and back-to-back calls, but that it's important to stay focused, especially with accidents on the interstate, so he can stay safe. In other news tonight, Lincoln police are investigating a burglary and animal cruelty case. This is what we know so far. Police say the victim, a 62-year-old woman, had a cat that got sick and died on February 12th. Around the same time, her dog got sick and stopped eating and died 2 days later at the emergency vet. The vet told her dog was likely poisoned. The woman told police that she believes her pets were poisoned and her keys were stolen on the 10th. Police say the investigation is looking into someone the woman knows. No arrests have been made at this time. Authorities have identified the 24-year-old man who was killed yesterday in a crash with a train in central Nebraska. The Webster County Attorney's Office says Andrew Katzberg from Kennesaw was driving a hay grinder east on Highway 136 when it crashed into a freight train just 4 miles east of Red Cloud. Katzberg died at the scene. A spokesperson for BNSF says 10 cars were derailed and no one on the train crew was injured. An investigation into the crash is ongoing. Husker head coach Fred Hoiberg today addressed a viral video showing him swat an Iowa fan's phone during a court storm after the loss to Iowa earlier this week. Hoiberg says it was a heated moment and that the situation escalated quickly. He also revealed his reaction was heightened because he is fully reliant on a pacemaker, which was most recently replaced in 2024.
I am 100% reliant on a pacemaker. That I was told, never forget a conversation with my doctor. If a cell phone can put it off, if anything ever happens, I'm done. I will not survive if something ever happens to a pacemaker. I'm very cognizant of that. So when somebody rushes up on me with a cell phone, of course I'm going to react.
Hoiberg says court storming is a great way for fans to celebrate, but that it should not compromise the safety of players or coaches. Iowa has since released a statement apologizing for the incident, and the Big Ten says it won't take any action against Hoiberg. Nebraska returns to PBA on Saturday to face Penn State. Finally tonight, and rounding out your night beat, is a check of the 7-day forecast that looks a little bit more like February, especially with the snow on the ground and highs only in the 20s over the next few days. This will be a cold weekend with morning lows in the single digits, but the coldest morning will come by Monday with a low of 0. And with what little wind will be out there, maybe a wind chill below 0 at that point. But a nice jump in those temperatures back to above average with 50s and even the middle 60s in the forecast for next Friday.
You've been listening to The Night Beat.
Sponsored by Pella Windows and Doors of Lincoln.
Watch, listen, and stream on the 1011 app on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.